All right. We are in the middle of a crisis of empathy. What do I mean by an empathy crisis? Let me start by defining empathy. Researchers did a study with rhesus monkeys where they had the monkeys pull a chain to dispense their food. Then they added in a variable. The monkeys would pull the chain and it would still dispense their food, but it would also cause another monkey to receive a painful electric shock. Did this change the monkey's behavior? Yes. The monkeys started pulling the chain less and less until most of them stopped pulling it altogether. One monkey didn't pull the chain for 12 days. He would rather starve. So when I'm talking about empathy, a lot of us think of it as this warm, fuzzy thing, and it's that, but it's also a powerful motivator that can change our behaviors. And empathy is revolutionary. When this image of peaceful protesters being attacked by dogs and fire hoses was broadcast across the country, it mobilized a country to change the face of what was happening in the civil rights movement, and it's still considered a major turning point. So when I talk about empathy, this is what I'm talking about, a powerful motivator. So why is there a crisis? Well, the world that we live in today is so complex that I think it's hard for us to even really comprehend. To illustrate this, I want to walk us through what it takes to make a pencil. So how many people does it take to make a pencil? Well, you've got the people at the pencil factory, of course, on the assembly line. But then, of course, somebody had to make all of the equipment that made the factory possible and to build it, et cetera. And then you've got the raw materials. The wood is probably being cut down right here in Oregon. But someone had to make the chainsaws and the skip loaders and all that kind of stuff to make the mill, make it get to the mill and all that kind of stuff. Then you've got the graphite. It's being mined somewhere, probably in Brazil. It's got to get put on a truck and driven to a port to get on a boat to kind of meet up with all the other raw materials, right? You can see where I'm going here. The truck has to be built by somebody, the road has to be built by somebody, the gas that the truck needs, the oil has to be taken from the Middle East, taken to that gas station. It's turtles all the way down, right? We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, to make that pencil possible. So then how many people does it take to make it possible for me to be standing here on stage at this conference, the computers, the monitors, the entire planet, right? And that's a beautiful thing because millions of people are working on my behalf to be able to stand up here today. Millions of people I will never meet. But it's also a complicated and confounding thing because it's unheard of in the history of humanity. We don't have to go back very far, even just to the 1700s, to find a world where we can understand our relationship with things and we understood the impact we had on the planet. So what does this mean for us now? What I've walked us through here is, of course, the idea of globalization. But what it also means to me is the expanding scope of empathy. The empathy required of us today has outpaced our evolution. So while we've gotten really great at building things and colliding ideas and doing space exploration and the internet and things that are magical and beyond our comprehension, we've lost the who. Designing for the what has become unsustainable. And that's why we have things like, even though we have these beautiful things, we also have massive income inequality. We have people jumping out of iPhone factories trying to kill themselves, right? It's designing for the what has become unsustainable. The era for that is over. We need to bring who to the center of our thinking. When you design for who, the problem you're trying to solve, why you're designing it, becomes evident. Then from there, how you deliver that solution goes on, and then what you want to design follows from that. So whether you're someone like Cola Life, studying people and understanding how should we distribute medicine in sub-Saharan Africa, or New York City, interviewing single mothers and trying to understand how do we end homelessness and what does that system look like, a system which was replicated across the country, it was so successful. Or if you're Netflix, who started with who and at this juncture has revolutionized the way an entire industry does business. Starting with who, starting with empathy, leads to understanding, which leads to great design. Keeping the person at the middle and closing that empathy gap is the key to the next phase of sustainable innovation. And that's why Who is where it's at. Thank you.